And I'm going to go into a little bit of my background. I am a Revature alumni, and I'm actually very happy to do this testimonial because of where I am now. So let's get into it. So originally, how I learned about Revature was I was first a professional athlete. As a professional athlete, I was at the tail end of my career. I wanted to get in tech, so I enrolled into WGU. I was online doing that, thinking that, hey, I'm going to go the traditional route. I'm going to get this cybersecurity degree. And then after that, I'm going to pivot the certifications that come with the degree into the tech field. And at that time I was in school and I was Ubering. But what ended up happening was one day I was Ubering and I had a JP Morgan exec in my car, and I was taking him to work and I was telling him, hey, I want to get into an apprenticeship. I want to get into tech. That's what I'm trying to do. And he then proceeded to inform me that, hey, we work with these various companies. Every year we hire from them, and we have this kind of program getting non-traditional talent from them. And so I said, okay, could I have the number? Could I have the information, the website? And also, could I have your number to keep in touch with you? Honestly, when I did that, I wasn't even looking at using him as a reference or anything like that. I just wanted to keep in touch with him. I really did not know that he was a big wig at JP Morgan. And so when I applied, I told him, hey, I actually did shoot my shot. Originally, they told me no. So I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I'm going to go over here, da-da-da-da. And then I ended up getting a call that said a few days later from a VP that was under the guy that I originally met that said, hey, we called them and told them that we sent you. And so they're going to accept you now. And at the time, I really did not even realize that Revature was a software engineering, like that they prepared software engineers. So long story short, I ended up getting into the program and I went immediately to the paid portion. So mine was accelerated. So Revature had the two time periods of the paid portion where you're actually paid to learn over a time before you get hired. And then there's the unpaid portion, which is kind of like an onboard and kind of, I would say, weeding out, but also giving you a foundation where things are moving slower. And so I went immediately to the paid portion. So I was like kind of thrown in the fire. I had no software engineering experience before that at all. I hadn't even necessarily looked into software engineering in itself. I was looking more at cybersecurity. So I decided to go into the program. And man, did I learn so much. I was in Tampa, so also I forgot to mention because I was playing football and I was based out of Tampa. That's how I was there. I'm originally from Texas, which is where I am now at the JP Morgan Plano office, but I was in Tampa because of that. So that's why I went through the training. And the training was very intense. I think it was like 3 or 4 months. It was somewhere between 3 and 5 months. And went through the training. Every week we had mock interviews on the material. It was very fast. I would say it was like 2 or 3 years worth of material stuffed into 5 months. It was so much. I mean, I felt my brain expanding. It was so much material. It was literally 8 hours a day of learning full time. It was super intense. Every week we were doing mock interviews, hard mock interviews over what was covered in that week, just as though we were doing job interviews. It was I would say it was cutthroat to where it was like, if you didn't do well over a series of those weekly interviews, and it was graded on a color scale, you were booted out of the program. It was militant in that way. But on the flip side, if you did do well, pat yourself on the back. You actually retained some of that stuff. So I did really well in the mock interviews. It forced a environment of collaboration. It forced an environment where everybody worked together. We worked together on projects. It wasn't just learning in a vacuum. It wasn't learning in an abstract environment. So we learned, and we implemented what we learned in different projects, different assignments, different assignments. And also what we did was They had us structure our portfolio in a way where it was skill set equivalent. So it was like, hey, your skills is the equivalent of 6 months of experience. Your skills are the equivalent of 2 years of experience, So it was a very creative way to dress your resume or dress your portfolio for whatever company they were advertising you to give you that experience that you needed. So that was really helpful. The program was to make you a full stack developer. So we learned all these different technologies. Mine was Java, JavaScript, JDBC, SQL, MySQL, PostgreSQL. We learned all kind of different technologies and how from front end to back end, how they all fit together. We learned how to use Spring Boot, or the whole Spring framework, all the way around from the old school way, Spring MVC, all the way to, like I said, modern Spring Boot. We learned, it was so much information. And our trainers were really good. They were reachable. We were able to reach out to them. We were able to have private sessions with them outside of class, even though by the time you learn them for 8 hours, your brain can only hold so much. We did 2 projects, and the first project was between us, but the second project we actually presented in front of all the main managers of JPMC, where they were able to ask questions and quiz us, and we worked as a team. We collaborated as a team where each one of us did a different role, and we had our different speaking parts. We had scripts, and it was really good. After that, they chose whoever was left from the cohort of people who were a part of it, where they were then chosen from that. Once we were chosen from that, we went into interviews. So we went into 2 interviews, a 2-step interview process where we interviewed, we thought it was going to be aptitude and technical interview, but really I would say they were both technical interviews. And after that, I was offered a contract. I came on to JPMC at the Tampa office on contract as a full stack developer. When I got into JPMC, immediately I was more so on the front end. I was put more so on a front end team. And so, that's what I was doing for a while. I was doing code hygiene. I was writing a lot of testing, and that's probably what, anybody new to that space in a big enterprise environment would do like that, so you can learn the code. They'll have you doing a lot of code hygiene, testing type stuff at first, just to kind of see what you know, and also to familiarize yourself with the code base. I wanted to get into tech because I knew that the way that the world is going, technology is going to dominate the workforce. And if you are not in technology, if you're not in the know, if you're not operating that technology or teaching others how to operate it, or at the helm of utilizing that technology to enhance businesses and that business space, you're going to be at a loss, because a lot of these jobs are going to go away because they're going to figure out how to utilize AI for efficiency and things like that. So I saw the turn. I said, hey, in order to put myself in a great position in this new age, in this new tech age, I need to be at the helm of tech. And obviously, it pays pretty handsomely. So because of the learning environment and that was fostered in making the projects, because they don't give you all the answers, so it forces you. So what we did was we kind of created different servers. We created different Discords. Me and the other cohorts, we met privately. We all met together. We used to go over flashcards. We would get in screen shares. It'd be like 5 of us in there. And it was just a constant learning thing. But what I realized was that translated directly to the work environment, because the dirty little secret of tech is nobody knows it all, but they know a guy who knows a guy who knows it. And so you're constantly setting meetings, setting Zoom calls, and collaborating with people. And that is the work environment of tech. It was definitely an environment where we were encouraged to ask questions, and they were, like I said, they answered our questions without any issues, spent extra time with us, and made sure that we had all the resources at our disposal. And even when I was on contract, They gave us all the resources at our disposal, and I happily was converted from contract over to a full-time employee, where they really put in the effort to make sure that I stuck with JPMC after my year-long contract was up, and I was able to relocate to Dallas, where I am, with no problem. I was given relocation so that I could make that happen, and it was exactly as they said it was. You know, it was a life-changing opportunity to get in tech, and I can't thank them enough. I recommend them all the time, because they're going to get you in a door that is not the main door that everybody who's applying to get into a full stack position would have to go through. So this is what I want to leave anybody who is considering taking the plunge, right, with Revature, in what Revature is going to do for you. Number one, Revature is going to make sure that you get a shot. And what do I mean by that? For example, right, if you go right now to apply for a position at, let's just say, JP Morgan as a new developer with no experience, the minute a job rec becomes open, and I actually know this for a fact, the minute that a job rec becomes open, they almost immediately receive 1,000 applicants on that job. Well, when you go through Revature, you're not going through that door. That's the front door. The position that they already have secured according to the contract that they have with said organization, Sallie Mae, JP Morgan, whatever the account may be, those jobs are not even, you're not even competing against those people who are coming in the front door. That is a program specifically for you coming through Revature to come through that door. Those jobs are not even eligible to be competed against. So they are giving you, for sure, an inroads into a massive organization to prove yourself, to come in on a trial basis, prove that you can do the work, that you can assimilate to the culture, that you can add value, and then convert it, like, you know, get converted like me. You know, and it is a legitimate thing. You know, it did work. So I would encourage anybody, you know, and my goal now is to continue to rise through the ranks, to really learn in this space, to really become a master in this space, to really become a expert in what I do, working with databases, and also mentor young men and women in this space so that they can become successful, they can bloom, and they can take advantage of all the benefits that come with working for a large organization, all the retirement benefits, all the discounts, all the different things that are afforded to you in this position. Yeah, you'll have to learn a little bit, but what is on the back end is so worth it. You know, I would say definitely you need that foundation. Now, that foundation is not to say that you're not going to get in this organization and be on a learn. As soon as you get in here, you're still going to be learning. You're going to be learning they're going to take those things that you learn, and they're going to, you know, show you all their proprietary softwares and all how they have those same softwares, but they have their versions built with different securities in them, so they can't be infiltrated. They're going to show you how they do things, and so on and so forth. So you're going to learn those things, and when you get in these organizations, there are so many ways to pivot to total different areas in that company once you get in. So it is the opportunity of a lifetime, and I would for sure say do it. And I was just telling a guy the other day, you know, making a decision like going to Revature, learning from Revature will change the trajectory of your life, because what they gave me was a foundational skill set that nobody can take away from me. And a lot of times I would even have meetings with some of the cohorts, and they would explain to me, because I was feeling bad, because I'm like, man, you know, I'm not used to being in a position where, you know, it's just such fast pace, it's so much information. Am I just not getting it? What's wrong with me? He was graduating with his associates with computer science at the time, and he said, man, you don't realize that I've been in school for 2 years at studying computer science, and we only touched maybe the first 3 weeks in those 2 years of what we've covered here. And so he was saying like, we covered way more than what I covered in school. So you're going to get so much information. It's going to challenge you. But one of the most important things is you are going to learn how to learn. Revature helps you learn how to learn. And that is an important skill for any software engineer, because they're going to ask you to do things you don't know. They don't even know. That's why they're asking you. They're going to ask you to do things you don't know how to do. They don't know how to do. But what they trust is that you know how to go find out how to do it. That is the skill. That is where Revature is going to drive you, not necessarily just to give you the answers, but to teach you how to have the mentality to hunt down the answers. Because when you get in this position, they're going to expect you to do whatever you need to do. Go take whatever Udemy course you need to take. Go take whatever learning experience you need to figure out how to give them what they're asking. That's the name of the game. The name of the game is you're going to be a constant learner, and Revature is going to prepare you to be in an environment like that where they're going to demand that of you. Right? You're going to learn how you learn. You're going to learn how to study. You're going to learn what is your system for learning large amounts of information, right? They're going to teach you how to get that down so when you get in that environment, you can survive, right? Because you're going to have to master eating copious amounts of information that when they tell you, they're just going to tell you, this is what you do, and there's not many instructions. You got to figure it out. So Revature prepared me to thrive and know how to ask for help, know how to set up meetings with people, know how to collaborate to get the job done. Because that's what this is. It's a production environment where as long as you did the job right, you did the job ethically, you did the job according to the standards of the organization, it doesn't matter who you collabed with or how you got it done, as long as you got it done. And you will be in positions where you have to do that. So, get ready for that. But, man, it's so worth it. Take the plunge.